Ford just put the entire automotive industry on high alert. That's right. In the last month here, Ford has seen an escalation, a spike, if you will, of sales. And not just of their F-150s, their most popular vehicle. What is actually going on? We knew that they were putting their Ford F-150 Lightning on half-mast, and they were only selling production of about 50% what they were normally accustomed to. But yet, they're up sales. Their electric vehicles are up. Their hybrids are up. And even their F-150s and the rest of their lineups are up, and they're leading the charge for sales. They say that they're going to improve quality. And that has been one of the big targeted areas since 2022. Farley has literally said, the CEO of Ford, that we're focusing aggressively on the quality improvements and enhancements of Ford. But yet, what we've seen is recall upon recall upon recall upon recall. Ford Motor Company actually saw an amazing February with 10.5% increase in sales, bolstered largely by the improvements as well as extra sales in the EV and hybrid sectors. Remember we said a while ago Ford said that they were not going to put all their eggs in the basket of pure electric vehicles, and yet they were going to enhance the sales of their hybrid vehicles, and that's exactly what we're starting to see. Ford's hybrid vehicle sales actually rose by about 32.7% year over year to over 12,000 units sold, while EV sales actually went up by 81%, up about 6,368 units. Clearly, they're selling vehicles. Even though they scaled the battery-powered vehicles, they're still selling them. And like they say, the old adage, and you guys tell me what you think, but I can't help but think bad press is even better than no press at all. So here we are, all of that conversation around Ford having to scale back and electric vehicles not selling and Tesla being the only game in town. And yet we're seeing Ford has seen some major improvements in the sales of their electric vehicles as well as their hybrids. They're clearly leading the charge. This whole hybrid approach has Ford literally approaching to double down. While they know a lot of American consumers, Canadian consumers don't necessarily want to put all their money in on pure electric vehicles to half the halfway house, a hybrid, for example, is a place that a lot of people are more comfortable with. Range anxiety, smaller battery capacity, quicker charger times, and of course the flexibility to drive miles outside of your normal route means that hybrids often meet the intent for a lot more buyers, and that's why Ford's seen much bigger improvements there. But what does that do for quality? Well, Ford's still up on number of recalls. They're leading the charge on all sorts of failures, and we can talk about that in another video. However, the Ford Maverick Hybrid, which is one of the most popular models in Ford's lineup right now, it's hard to get your hands on one. They actually sold about 6,463 units in February alone, or more than half of all other hybrids combined. Ford's actually quoted as saying they're seeing the hybrid sector being the fastest growing sector within their lineup, and clearly they're going to put a lot more stake and effort into that. Ford, the Detroit automaker, one of the big three of course, recorded sales increases of EVs, noting about 64.3% growth in the Mustang Mach-E crossover vehicle, and an even bigger bump with a 93% increase in the Ford F-150 Lightning pure electric vehicle, which is sort of ironic considering Ford literally just chopped their output production of the F-150 literally a month ago, saying they were going to claw that back 50% because of sales or low volume popularity. But of course the pricing has put them back in the game, and they're selling F-150 Lightnings like hotcakes. But you're probably wondering, where does that put the gas vehicles in all this game? What's the percentage and the ratio of sales for electric vehicles as well as gas jobbies? Well, let's just start by saying the conventional gas-powered vehicles are up 7.5% year over year, which doesn't actually sound all that exciting when you think about what we just mentioned about the growth of their EV market and their hybrids. But the reality is the gas jobbies still account for the mass majority of sales in Ford headquarters, to the tune of 155,779 units, or approximately 89.5% of all models sold in February. Clearly, Ford's on the track of growth, but on the skins and the hides of consumers who can't afford a lot of these vehicles, I'd like to know that a lot of their more entry-level vehicles are becoming more available for the buyers, because we know that the cost of buying a new truck is cost prohibitive for a lot of people. Electric vehicles are cost prohibitive. Who's buying these cars? Well, Ford's making money. Not sure who else is making that money. But with that said, I think the prices do start to speak, because while the mass majority of their SUVs and cars and trucks and vans, all those collectively do show that the internal combustion engine are still leading the top pops, the fact remains is actually the F-150 is actually down because people have literally had enough. Their backs are broken, necks are broken. They can't afford to dole out as much money as they once did. As a matter of fact, the F-150, which is their leading vehicle, or traditionally has been, sold about 51,000 and change units, is literally down in February about 6% year on 1 year. But it's all sort of ironic, isn't it, everybody? Have you guys ever heard the saying, Ford quality is job one? Have you ever heard that phrase? Well, we have to say and ask the question because a lot of F-150s, a whole pile of them, as well as the F-150 Lightnings, have been grounded and held back from sending to the dealerships due to some serious quality issues. We know some of those. The rear axle hub issue, drive shaft insulation problems, fire problems, and a whole host of other electrical gremlins have put Ford on their literal heels with quality issues. And so maybe all this quality issues is starting to come to a head, and CEO Jim Farley is actually saying, in quotes, the quality is the most important initiative in the whole company. This whole capability atrophied in engineering, supply chain, and manufacturing at Ford. And maybe people wouldn't have quite such a hard time in doling out the big dollars for some of these vehicles if they knew the quality was there to back the product. Nobody wants to throw 10, 50, $80,000, $100,000 at a vehicle if they know it's going to fall apart, blow head gaskets, burn up roadside, or have parts just snap right off. Nobody wants to invest in that if they're not confident in the quality of a vehicle. As a matter of fact, Ford, the automaker, actually reported recalls more than 6.1 million units across the course of 56 separate recalls. And that's all just within last year, according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, saying that Ford has a lot of work to do. And literally, with all these quality concerns, high prices of pickup trucks, it's no wonder that the value and the price of these new trucks are starting to slide, and we're starting to see big incentives. So stay tuned for Ford's incentives. You know that there's going to be some great deals coming up. You just have to wait for that post-June when we're talking outside of tax season, where you're going to have lots of opportunities to get yourself a great deal. And with all of that said, be sure to check out right there what's going on. The entire truck crisis is amidst us, and there's a reason for it. Hope to see each and every one of you on the next one. We'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.